Did Lando get robbed at the U.S. Grand Prix?
Ooh, that's the question, isn't it?
We're firing up the F1 Fever podcast to dissect that overtake. You know the one, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen going wheel to wheel for a podium?
This incident, it really highlights how those F1 regulations, they can be so finely balanced. What seems like a simple overtake, suddenly everyone's got an opinion.
And we've got all the angles covered today. Driver reactions, team bosses breathing fire, even what the Sky Sports crew made of it all.
Buckle up because we're diving deep. By the end of this, you'll be the judge.
Yeah.
Fair penalty or absolute shocker that cost Norris a podium.
Right, so rewind to the USGP. Norris and Verstappen, they're locked in this intense battle.
And crucially, Norris had pitted later, meaning...
Fresher tires.
Exactly. Which, in those closing laps, massive advantage. McLaren, they played that strategically brilliant.
So it's already tense. Then comes lap 52, turn 12, prime overtaking spot, but always risky.
And Norris, he goes for it, round the outside of Verstappen.
Joey Quick.
Oh, totally. And this is where it gets spicy. Both cars, they end up off the track. Contact, no contact doesn't even matter at this point because...
Out come the black and white flags. Penalty incoming.
5 seconds.
Which, in F1, might as well be a lifetime. Cost Norris P3 in the end. Stewards, they said it was exceeding track limits, gaining a lasting advantage, whole 9 yards.
And here's the real kicker. They specifically said Norris wasn't alongside Verstappen at the apex.
At the what now?
The apex. The center point, the tightest part of the corner. See, being ahead there, that gives you the right to, dictate the racing line out of the turn.
So even if you go wide, as long as you were ahead at that tiny point, you're good.
Theoretically, yes. But the stewards, they reckon Norris wasn't there yet. So by going wide, he forced Verstappen off, gained the position unfairly, hence penalty.
Centimeters, man. It all comes down to centimeters and 200 miles an hour. Talk about pressure.
That's F1 for you. And unsurprisingly, this absolutely kicked off a storm.
Oh, for sure, because both of them are off track, right? So it's not that simple.
Exactly. So let's break down the reactions, starting with the drivers themselves. Because naturally, they saw things a tad differently. Norris... oh, man, he was fuming. Understandably right. He even said, hang on, Verstappen went off track too.
Which on the replays, yeah, fair point.
Right. Norris was saying, look, this is racing, it's tight, we're both pushing to the limit. Even brought up a time back in, 2017, felt he got a raw deal for something similar.
He got a good memory.
Long memory. But, gotta give him credit, he did say rules are rules, even if he disagrees.
Professional to the end. Verstappen, though, different story.
Oh, totally different tune. Max, he was like, textbook, by the book, rules are the rules, he said, but you could tell he's got that glint in his eye, you know?
Once bitten, twice shy. He's been on the receiving end of these kind of penalties before.
Exactly. He was basically like, Norris knew what he was doing, tried to pull a fast one, and it backfired. Simple as that.
So we've got driver drama, check, but then the teams get involved and things get really juicy.
Oh, the team principals, they were spitting fire. McLaren, they came out swinging.
They were not happy.
Not one bit. They were like, whoa, hold up. Both drivers went off, not just Lando. How's that fair? Called it a racing incident. Said that's what we want to see. Hard but fair.
I mean, you can see their point, right?
Yeah.
But stewards made the call.
Yeah. End of the day, McLaren, they had to suck it up, accepted the decision, but you could tell they let the stewards know exactly what they thought.
Little passive-aggressive radio message in there, I bet. Red Bull, though, completely different vibe.
Christian Horner, oh boy, he was having none of it. Rules are very, very clear, he said, all stern-faced.
Love it when Horner gets going.
Right. He was basically implying maybe Norris should have thought twice before trying that move. Not in those exact words, but you could read between the lines.
So tweet for the F1 crowd. Okay, so far, we've got drivers at odds, teams going head-to-head, but there's another layer to this whole saga. The Sky Sports crew.
Yes, the pundits. And they always bring the insights, like Jenson Button, right, world champion, knows a thing or two about this. He brought up a fascinating point about the rules themselves.
Oh, on.
He was like, yeah, Norris went wide, BUT, Verstappen went off track too. And it's that gray area, right? When they're both off the circuit, how do you judge who is really ahead?
Suddenly those black and white lines, not so clear-cut anymore.
Exactly. Button's point was, this inconsistency, it's not good for the sport. He even suggested a rule change.
Oh, bold.
Right. He's talking about a rule where you can't force another car completely off track. Like, if a part of your car has to be on the track surface, That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts.
So encourage cleaner overtakes, less of this whole who squeezed who debate.
Exactly. Though, as you can imagine, not everyone agreed. Martin Brundle, he had a different take. Yeah, Brundle, he's always the voice of reason, right? He was like, look, harsh as it seems, that penalty, it was kind of inevitable. Stewards, they interpret those track limit rules very strictly.
So in his view, maybe Norris should have just, yielded and fought back later.
That was his point, risk versus reward. Yeah, Norris had the pace, but is one risky move worth potentially throwing away a whole race? Tough call.
$1 billion question, right? Easier said than done when you're in the car, adrenaline's pumping.
Oh, 100%. And to wrap up the Sky Sports analysis, we got to talk about Anthony Davidson. Now, he's our tech whiz, right? Ex-driver, but
Wow.
also a brilliant engineer. He was on the SkyPad, breaking it all down.
Technical analysis, always love that. So what Davidson make of it all?
He actually agreed with the stewards, said, Norris, yeah, bold move, but crucially, not ahead at the apex. And that's like the rule book definition right there.
Decisive then. But Davidson, he also brought up something I hadn't even considered. Another rule, even more obscure.
Right. Apparently, and this is wild, when you're ahead at the apex, you're basically entitled to the racing line coming out of it, even if it means the other car has to go off track.
Whoa, seriously. So it's almost like if you're not ahead at that one point, you're screwed.
That's how Davidson interpreted it. He was saying, Verstappen, he knew that rule, stewards knew it, and Norris, maybe he got caught out.
So much complexity for just a couple seconds of racing. It's incredible. But Davidson, being Davidson, he had a solution, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he did. And it's radical. He wants to bring back gravel traps.
No way. Old school.
Right. Get rid of all that paved runoff, he says. Back to the good old days. Go wide, you're in the gravel. Simple as that.
I mean, part of me loves it. No more of this track limit debate, just instant consequence.
Right. Though I imagine some drivers would be less thrilled about that idea.
Yeah, high risk, high reward, right?
Yeah.
Makes you think, though, those little strips of asphalt, they cause so much drama.
It's true. But it all circles back to that question, should drivers self-police more? If you know you only got the move done by going off, should you give the place back?
That's tough. Like, where's the line between racing hard and gaining an unfair advantage?
And who decides that? The driver in the heat of the moment or the stewards after the fact? Fascinating debate, right?
Totally. So to wrap this whole thing up, I got to ask, Lando robbed or not?
Honestly, I'm still torn. We've heard every side, the rules, the reactions, the analysis. It's almost like a choose-your-own-adventure.
And that's F1 for you. Never a dull moment? It's the kind of incident you'll be thinking about all week. Was it fair? Was it harsh? We want to hear your take. Hit us up on social media. Let's keep this debate going. Until next time on the F1 Fever podcast.